Alright, sorry everybody, I have a cold today, so my voice is kind of ruined. So diving into my first aquascaping project, I was going for a 2-island composition with a path going down the middle as crudely drawn here. I didn't have egg crate, so I thought I was being clever and made some bases using an Oreo cookie plastic container I had left over from Walmart, which I split in half. I was pretty confused about substrate layers at this time, and even though I was planning to do a Wallstad-like method, I added some of this Dr. Earth fertilizer at this point. I recorded a ton of video over my first month back in the hobby before I decided to start taking it seriously, and unfortunately I recorded almost all of it in portrait perspective. I'll try to remember to film horizontally moving forward, but I have become very TikTok brained, so it will probably take some time. I'm new to aquascaping, at least in any serious capacity. The original intent of this channel was to display my journey in learning how to be good at aquascaping. As I've gotten back into the hobby and tried out breeding, there will definitely be a broad spectrum of content coming in the future, since I found so many interests so quickly. Please give me tips as I go along, but also know there has been lots more work done to this tank already that you will see soon. But in any of my endeavors, I'm always looking for valuable feedback so I can learn. The dirt you see me using here is Kellogg Organic Plus indoor potting. Again, there were some lessons learned, but overall I think this has been a nice choice. Lots of wood, which I paid the price for not removing, but if you're looking for something on a budget, this seems to have done the trick for me. The state you see the tank in was not kept for very long. I had to wait for the rack to get here, so the tank was temporarily on the edge of this chair. Of course, with a rimless tank, this could prove to be a critical issue immediately, and should be completely avoided at all costs, but with the rim tank I found no issues, and now it currently sits on the rack. Here is a picture of that in its current state. At this stage I begin adding medium black diamond blasting sand from Tractor Supply. This stuff has been awesome for me, but I know it's very polarizing for some people, so do your own research on everything I talk about, but especially anything I say about the substrate, nutrient layers, etc. Here I'm attempting to slope the sand upwards towards the back, while also retaining the 2-island shape I initially wanted. You'll be able to see for yourselves how that ended up working out for me throughout the video. This is the stage where I began to clearly indicate the separation between the 2 islands, as well as building the foundation for adding in the path. I begin to use the spatula to attempt shaping the sand into the previously mentioned design idea to varying levels of success. This wasn't a major win from my initial vision, but I definitely learned a lot along the way. At this stage, I begin trying to form the path in front each using pool filter sand. I did not rinse this at all and didn't have issues, but I did heavily rinse the black diamond blasting sand, which would discolor the water significantly. It was recommended online to use hot water, and I did. Just make sure not to lightly scald yourself mixing it like I did, being too lazy to find a tool to use to mix it for me. You can see here that I'm struggling to get the exact look that I want using the tools, which made clear very quickly why it's recommended for beginners not to attempt doing pathing with sand. Here, I begin to set up my hardscape, and you can immediately see bubbles from the Oreo cookie container being crushed under the weight. It was honestly as hilarious as it was frustrating at the time. Here, I'm really struggling to get a composition that I'm happy with, but having these moments of frustration has helped me grow as I read and watch more to learn from the best. At this stage, I begin planting the 10-gallon with a mix of random plants I picked up to get started. The batch of plants I bought included water wisteria, green caboma, water sprite, Myrio filigree, moneywort, and dwarf sage. Some of these plants, like the dwarf sage, I tried growing immersed, but was very unsuccessful. I believe all of the plants excluding dwarf sage are still present in the tank to this point. but several of the plants look very similar and were planted together, so keeping track has been difficult for me. At this point in the project, I'm trying to line the path with plants without having them planted directly on it. I also picked up some dwarf hairgrass from a different shop, but this did not end up doing particularly well and is mostly gone from the tank now. Now I'm ready to begin flooding the tank. Having not done a dirted tank, used pool filter sand, blasting sand, or generally had any form of even basic planted tank for years, I was excited but nervous for the results. I also received a small order of frog bit, of which none survived in any of my tanks. I somewhat recently ordered more from a different vendor, and it appears to be doing much better. This is how the tank looked immediately after being filled. I figured that although it wasn't exactly what I was hoping for, it wasn't a terrible start. This is what I woke up to the next morning. You can see the school of zebra danios temporarily housed in here as I prepare them for a breeding project. As you can see, the water was heavily stained with tannins, and this was just the beginning of my battle for water clarity. My first plan of attack was performing water changes, which definitely did a lot of heavy lifting. 2 days later, you can see the tannins have returned. You can also see a DIY egg trap using knitting grids, terracotta pots, and yarn. It did not work, but I think foundationally the idea is sound. I just need to take another look at it and probably scale it up slightly. I decided it was time to call for backup and got some Purigen going. I forgot to rinse it, and you can see the haze, which was gone within a day or two. More water changes. At this point, I realized I still had a small piece of spiderwood I had purchased and thought it would be helpful to add some verticality to the scape. I'm using polyfill/filter floss and liquid superglue to attach the driftwood to the stone. Here, I'm trying to stick some sand to the glue and polyfill in order to conceal it. This did not work that well, mainly on account of my impatience. Here you can see the scape with the driftwood added. Note how discolored the water is. Even more. The next day I received my plant. It included Rotala indica, Cryptocorin tropica, mini bulbitis, 2 Monte Carlo tissue cultures, 2 S. repens tissue cultures, and 1 pot of Anubias nana petite. Here I'm showing the tank later that evening after all the planting has been done. The following morning the tannins are back to haunt me. It was time to go a lot bigger. I broke the bag on accident. I attempted to fix the bag using superglue, polyfill, and sheer determination. As you can see, my fingers took a beating. The original bag was already used up now. The crudely repaired bag. Again, I forgot to rinse the Purigen and nearly lost my mind seeing this. This is how things were looking the next morning. Infinity water changes. Looking a lot better after the water change. And here we are the following morning. Our tea stains are back, and another water change was done. One of our new mystery snail buddies. Here's where we ended up after approximately 1 week into our aquascaping journey. If you'd like to see how I progress over time, please subscribe. If you enjoyed or disliked the video, please hit the corresponding like or dislike button, and comment below if you have any recommendations for me moving forward. Thanks so much, and have a wonderful day.